Hi guys, so today I 3D resin printed and also painted an anime figure. The other day, Pyocrete sent over these Hello X1 printers for me to review. That was low-key a terrible idea, chat. I've never 3D printed before. Something is going to get screwed up. Anyway, the aim for today is to make a really cool figure or something. I don't know what I'll make yet. But I thought it'd be a good idea to test out a smaller figure first. Just in case, you know. I found this website called 3D, which is selling sick-ass models. Like, look at these, holy shit. So of course, I bought this small Xavier from Love and D-Space instead. Thank you, LadyLavanda. Sorry chat, I gotta feed my obsession somehow, you know? Anyway, I thought you could just upload it straight to the printer, but then the website started saying to put it in a slicer of your choice. Guys, what is a slicer? Why are we slicing up figures? And then I realized I should probably read the instructions. They didn't help at all, by the way. The instructions were in fact for setting up the printer. It was basically already done, but it took me like 15 minutes anyway because I misread the instructions and almost took apart the printer. Yeah, that was fun. I thought I was missing some parts and I was really panicking. I ended up watching a grand total of 1 video on what 3D printing is and there's so much, just end me now. Guys, I can't lie, I thought it was just pressing print and watching the figure form, but suddenly I have to learn about VATs and FEPs and what? Anyway, I'm pretty sure I forgot like half of what I just watched, but it's okay, experience is the best teacher. Plus, I think I have a pretty good printer. Hala X1 is one of the newer models by Pyocrete and it has a 16K mono LCD screen, meaning it can print in some insane detail. Also, you don't need to level. I don't know what leveling is, but you don't have to do it. This video is supposed to be like a review, so I will talk more about the printer later. Anyway, the first step to 3D printing is to prepare your model so you can actually print it. This is what a slicer is for. The handbook recommended 2 slicers, Halop Box and Chitu Box, but I believe you could also use Lychee Slicer. Since Halop Box is developed specifically for their 3D printers, I thought I'd try that out first. But when I opened the app, I didn't really know how to use it at all, so tutorial time!
Halop Box software tutorial. First,
what kind of crap is this? Most of the time, you cannot manually add supports at the spot you want. It's like the app doesn't know where the mouse pointer is. Super annoying. Software still crash every time. Waste of time. This looks nothing like my Halop Box. The entire comment section is filled with this, by the way. Clearly, people do not like Halop Box, but you know, I'm a positive person. I just gotta try it myself out. The program crashed. And it also crashed my entire computer at the same time. Okay, yeah, let's use Chitu Box instead. Anyway, the model came all as one, which is kind of annoying because I couldn't move the individual parts. So I spent a very long time trying to figure out how to split it. That's a lie. I spent like 2 minutes before I gave up. Anyway, I hollowed out the head so I don't use all my resin, and I drilled some holes into it so the inside can get washed. Then I used auto support to add some supports and saved it to my USB. Then I filled this thing, which is called the VAT, with resin. You'll notice that I'm also wearing gloves and a mask. That's because if I learned anything from the YouTube videos, it's that resin is toxic as hell and I will die of poisoning if I breathe in too much. Then I kinda just selected print for my Xavier kitty. You know, it was surprisingly simple to get started, I said with joys. I was headshot 57 times. Let me just show you guys. Yeah, so Xavier might have fallen down. I kind of expected something to go wrong though, because this wouldn't be a Nyam video otherwise. On the bright side though, this is a good opportunity to try the washing and curing features. I tried to grab the remains of the Xavier head out with gloves, but it was like fully stuck on there, so I had to scrape it off. The manual said it's fine to use detergent, so I stole some off my mom and put it in. This is to like help remove the uncured resin and make it less sticky. Then I just washed it for 5 minutes. After it was done, it was really bubbly, which is kind of concerning, but maybe it'll get better when I cure it, guys. Basically, curing is using UV rays to make the resin hard and not toxic. Personally, I think it sounds like a JoJo reference, but whatever. I put it in for like half an hour for good measure. Then after they finished, I got some really interesting results. Guys, why are they sticky and bubbly? Yeah, I didn't really know what to do, so I just took them outside. In the meantime, I did some research on why my print failed, and I kept getting this stuff about wrong printer settings. But guys, I'll be so for real, I don't want to learn any of this. What the hell? If I can 3D print without ever looking at the settings, I will be a very happy woman. Bad supports can lead to a lot of failed prints, so I tried rotating Xavier a bit before adding auto supports this time. Apparently printing things that are like horizontal is bad. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it turned out even worse. What the hell? Okay, so I don't think supports are the problem, guys. This is still an opportunity to learn though. I thought maybe the stickiness from the last print was because I didn't dry it before curing, so guess who has a hairdryer now? It wasn't really looking good though, because it was kind of already sticky and bubbly even before I cured it. Chat, maybe the problem is the washing. I stuck it in to cure for 15 minutes anyway though, and I also flipped them over this time to make sure it got that even curing. These ones ended up only a little bit sticky, but it still had that weird bubbly texture. I also started printing the Xavier figure again. I think this time I literally just changed the supports a bit. We already established last print that the supports are not the problem, so this did absolutely nothing. I don't really know what the point of it was, but it made me realize, yeah, I'm kinda just wasting resin. So I resigned myself to my fate and decided to actually learn some of this 3D printing stuff. Doing the settings is known as printer calibration, and apparently you're supposed to do this whenever you get a new printer or new resin. Oops. Because basically everyone's environment is different, so everyone needs different settings. The first step is the printer calibration part, which can tell you what settings you need to change. There's a lot of different ones, but I chose the town by Mirror Labs. And so you see, that would be great if it actually printed. Chat, I don't know how to tell you this, but there was just nothing there. Like, it finished printing, but there was just nothing. Chat, how do I calibrate if I don't have a calibration part to calibrate with? I ended up finding some sad little circle in the VAT. Also, Rook, guess who got some new cleaning liquid? I am really smart, so I am 99% sure that the bubbly texture is because I was using cleaning liquid I stole from my mom. The best stuff to use for resin washing is IPA, so I got my hands on some of that. Then it's time to print a Mirror Labs version 2. I actually changed some of the settings for this one, so that's exciting. I did some research on why my resin wasn't sticking to my build plate, and from what I'm getting, there's 3 main reasons. Number 1 is that your build plate is not level, but this can't be it because Hala X1 is leveling free. The second reason is that the FPE film is not tight enough. When you use it for a long time, it can loosen up and that's kinda bad. But I have not used it for a long time, and last time I checked, it was pretty tight, so I don't think this is it. The third reason is that the bottom exposure time and bottom layer count are too low. The bottom is the foundation of the print, so it needs like different settings compared to everything else. I tried adding 10 seconds to bottom exposure time and 5 extra layers to the bottom. And this time it actually printed out! And guess who got rid of the bubbly texture as well? Gang, the problem was the washing after all. This looks so good, chat. I'm actually so happy. Since some of the gaps on this one were closed up, I decided to print a couple more with lower exposure time. This one in the middle is 1.3 and then this one is around 1. I don't remember if it was a 1.1 or 1, which is really helpful, but whatever. You can kind of see from the gaps that the detailing is the best on this one, but it's also really squishy. I literally just broke it. I hate my life. So yeah, I will be printing with 1.3 instead. This one has a tiny bit less detail, but it's not really noticeable and it's more hard, so I'd rather have the hardness, you know. Also, guess what I found when I was cleaning the VAT? That's right, a big fat scratch! That's probably because I was using the metal scraper on it before. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. It will damage the FPE film. There is a plastic scraper you're supposed to use instead. I was wondering what that was for. I told Maggie, the goat from Pewcrete, what happened and she sent me a new one. W Maggie in the chat, guys. She also sent me the AFU unit, which is an add-on to the Hala X1 that heats your resin. Because, yeah, it's kinda cold here. Obviously, I have like heating indoors, but I kinda have to open the door so I don't die of resin poisoning. Gang, I did some research and apparently resin works best at 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. Any lower and, cold resin is more viscous. Viscous resin makes prints fails. Viscous resin damages screens. Viscous resin stretches FEP. This room is about 18 degrees. The Hala X1 has a bit of heating inside the printer though, so I think that's why my Mirror Labs print turned out good. My Xavier ones were probably because my settings were bad. I think it would be fine even without the AFU since I've changed my settings now, but I don't really feel like taking chances anymore, so I will be using the AFU anyway. Anyway, I'm feeling pretty good about my next print. I have IPA now for cleaning, I have the AFU unit for heating, the optimal exposure time, and more bottom layers so it actually sticks on. And I also figured out how to split the file into different parts in Blender, so I can like rotate them individually. Anyway, I can't wait to paint my Xavier. Half my print failed. Guys, this cannot be for real right now. What is actually going on? I don't understand! Bro, it's like my Mirror Labs thingy printed perfectly fine, right? That's like going to the doctor and them saying there's nothing wrong when clearly something is. I'm going crazy! I ended up going on like a break. Well, not really a break. It was more like frantic Google searches, watching more random printing videos, and rereading the calibration part guide like 10 times. And then eventually I also found this on the Piacrete website. It's the optimal settings for all their resins on the Halo X1. You're telling me that the settings I have right now that I found through pure experience and failure were listed on the website? Like exposure time 1.3? Boom, right there. Initial/bottom exposure time 40 seconds? Literally right there! Chat, are we for real right now? It was kind of a relief to see that I got the right settings, but also it was like, what the heck? Why are my prints failing then? I decided to check all my settings against the recommended ones just to be sure, and I found this sneaky motor speed one. My motor speed was 300, but the recommended was 180. Huh? I don't know about you guys, but that sounds kinda suspicious. I did some research on it, and I think motor speed is the same thing as Z lift speed. I kinda ignored it before because I didn't know they were the same thing, but Z lift speed being too high is another reason why prints can fail. I did some more research, and Amira Labs recommended for motor speed 40 to 60? Guys, my settings were at 300! No wonder my prints were failing! What? So then the question is, do I print at 60 mm per minute or 180 mm per minute like Piacrete recommends? I decided to try printing again with 180 to see if that works, because 300 actually worked fine for some parts, so I don't think I need to go all the way down to 60. And guess who has a full head now? Yee! Okay, the stand and lower body still didn't print, but the head printed! Yee! I have a full head now and it looks beautiful! And it connects with the body. This is amazing, chat. The head kinda has marks because I use medium supports, which are a bit thicker, but we can sand it off later, so it's okay. I am so happy! I'm also like 99% sure that the reason why the stand fell off was because I was printing it horizontally, so that's a pretty easy fix. I reprinted the lower body and stand along with a mystery scarf. The scarf is from this Arknight's FrostNova model that I'm also printing by Goss 3D Art. It's so beautiful, I just had to do it, guys! The lower body didn't make it again, sadly, but I don't care because the scarf turned out amazing! Just look at it! I reprinted the body, but yeah, I might have broken the stand while trying to put them together. On the bright side, while I was looking for my failed prints pile, I managed to find this stand and body which looked pretty good. On the not so bright side, I also broke them while trying to put them together. It's okay. I'll just reprint it later, guys. I'm gonna paint the Xavier figure and FrostNova together anyway, so it's okay, guys. The next print I was kind of worried about because this thing is huge. Like, it quite literally took up my entire printer. But it turned out great! There's like this weird ass mark, but it's at the bottom, so I'm just gonna ignore it. My life is amazing, guys! Then I printed the next part, and it looked fine at first, but then I looked a bit closer and noticed that half of it didn't print. Listen, at this point, I just didn't know what to do, because my settings should be perfect, so I don't know what's happening. I thought maybe this is just a one-off, and this print's a bit weird, so I decided to ignore it and print the next bit. This print went, interestingly, one hand turned out fine, but the other one looked like it got flattened by something, I don't know. I had the same flattening thing happen with the coat here, and it snapped off. Even though the other part of the coat was perfectly fine, which is kinda suspicious. There was some flattening in the hair from earlier too, so I thought maybe it was a settings problem, because like, what are the chances it happens 3 times? And I might have reprinted the hair a few times with different settings. I also reprinted the coat and the hair in different angles, and they did not work! I'm going crazy, guys! What is going on? I've tried different exposure, slowing my lift speed even more, and even rotating the print, so what is the problem? Is it a support problem? Is it a support problem? Chat. It was a support problem. I thought that auto support would basically be perfect if you put it in the right angle, but yeah, I guess I was wrong. I reprinted the coat, but after I auto supported, I added a bunch more supports manually, and what do you know, it printed out amazingly. No way, it was this simple, guys. Like, are we for real right now? I reprinted the hair and arm again, and I wish I could say everything went perfectly, but there were still some print defects in the front hair. And in the next print I did, one of the ice parts literally fell down into the VAT. I actually had this happen a couple of times, but since I knew it was 100% a support problem, it wasn't as annoying to deal with. I tried supporting it in a couple of different ways, but what worked best for me was cutting it up in Blender so I could just print it as 2 separate parts. I had a couple others that were like 2 spikes fused together, and like, listen, I tried my best to print it just like that, but it was not going well, chat. I don't know why, but they literally just did not print unless I cut them up. Here are all the ice pieces I had to print out. Anyway, after that, would you believe me if I said everything else went smoothly? After I started supporting the hell out of my prints, literally nothing else failed. For the hair, I did have to print it another time because it's really hard to support them. And what's really annoying is that when I finally got it right, some parts snapped off when I took off the supports, but I don't think it's that noticeable, so let's just go with this. If you want to know something funny, I've literally just had all these prints sitting at my desk for the past month. My family probably think I'm crazy. Here are all my other pieces, and not one of them failed. I also printed out the other pieces of my Xavier figure, and it looks amazing! The stand is a really tight fit, but I don't think it's a printing problem, so I'm just gonna wait till the end to put it together. We can actually start painting soon. First I'm sanding them though, and for that I am taking everything outside because I would rather not breathe in resin particles. Speaking of breathing, these COVID-19 masks apparently suck balls. I got this new respirator, but for some reason I feel more sick with it on than without. Like, I would genuinely rather breathe in the resin particles because this makes me want to throw up. Is that normal, chat? Anyway, I super glued together the ice parts I cut earlier because it would just be easier to put them together when they're the original sizes. I actually had to sand and cut a lot of pieces so it would fit properly, but the base actually looks so beautiful. I also glued together the coat and sanded it. Hopefully the line isn't as noticeable later. I started priming too, but I low-key did most of it in my garage because it's been raining like every day in the UK. Here's footage from like the one day it wasn't raining. I totally like overused my primer, bro. The can was almost full when I started and I literally ran out before I got to prime everything. So lesson learned, next time I am not doing 2 layers of primer. It was so unnecessary, but I don't know, seeing it fully opaque made me happy. Unfortunately, I do not have the financial resources to be happy because how am I gonna prime my other stuff now? Luckily, I ended up finding this black primer. I totally should have used this instead, but it's been so long I literally didn't even know I had this. Also, yes, we will be painting with airbrush. I actually used airbrush to paint a figure a few months ago, so you'd think I'd be somewhat skilled, right? Nah, it took me so long to even get it working, bruh. Like, the paint would not come out. I ended up taking apart the entire airbrush and cleaning it with water. And, airbrushes have needles in them, right? Yeah, the needle on my finger might have kissed. It actually really hurt, it wasn't funny. Anyway, the cleaning didn't even work that well, because literally only a tiny bit of paint was coming out. I mixed the paint already, and I couldn't really put it back though, so I kinda just dealt with it and painstakingly painted Xavier's skin. Like, it took way longer than it should have. At least it actually looks pretty good though. It totally got fucked up later, by the way. Anyway, I cleaned the airbrush again with airbrush cleaner this time, and it worked a lot better. Ugh, who would have known? Unfortunately, I also tried adding thinner to the paint, and I might have added too much. But yeah, now it looks like someone had diarrhea all over his ears. What if we just ignored that and moved on to FrostNova? Xavier served well as a test subject, guys. I'm joking, we'll return to him later. For now, I'm just doing all the black parts, and there's gonna be a lot. God's 3D Arts colored it for us on their cover, so we could just follow this. No, we're gonna use the official art as reference. I'm gonna try and color it like an artwork if that makes sense. It makes me upset when anime figures use solid block colors, so I'm gonna take full advantage of the fact that I can do whatever the fuck I want and Luki go crazy. I guess we're aiming for something like this Dazai figure I painted ages ago, just with an airbrush this time instead. Most of FrostNova's outfit is just white, so to spice it up, I added a lot of gradients, like white at the top and black at the bottom type gradients. Because it looked good. Or at least I hope it looked good. It's not like I can put them together while they're still drying. Then we have what is supposed to be orangey red for the underside of the outfits. I accidentally fucked up the red to yellow ratio though, so it's really red right now. Luckily though, because it's airbrush, I can just add yellow later and it will look orange. Color theory. Wanna hear a fun story? I actually thought the outfits were purely white, but I wanted to shade the underside red anyway because red tastes better than key. Turns out the underside is actually red, I just didn't look at the reference good enough. Happy little accident. Everyone always says to not shade with black because it will look dirty. But what if I want it to look dirty? Hear me out, chat. I think it'll look kinda good. Yeah, so I shaded basically everything black except for the skin. Since I'm super duper smart though, I added dark blue as a transition colors between white and black, so it won't look completely shit. And I tried my best to, you know, finish off Xavier, but my airbrush was rage baiting me again. Listen, this time I don't think I added thinner, but it literally just sprayed water everywhere anyway. What? Apparently this happens if you're in a humid environment. I like to call it airbrush piss. This happened last time I used the airbrush too, so I got a filter which was supposed to help. It didn't really help. The water piss low-key ruined my paint job. I would be fuming right now, but I've reached a new plane of existence called I don't give a shit anymore. Luckily the FrostNova airbrushing went quite nicely, so I guess it's fine. Who cares about Xavier anyway? I never want to airbrush again, chat. I left the details to the end so we can use acrylic marker to add them. Or smarter, not harder. But when I took off the tape for Xavier's face, there was this huge ass crack across it. This was in fact not here before, guys. This is why I hate masking tape. Actually, it's probably due to the fact that I might have dropped it a few times. Yeah, let's just move on. I basically left his entire body to do with acrylic marker because, like, look at those details. You can't force me to use that much masking tape, man. Also, for the crack on Xavier's face, I filled it in with glue, then put acrylic marker over it. I hope it isn't as noticeable now, but like, there's only so much I can do about a big fat crack, guys. Like, what do you want me to do? Reprint the whole head? I put too much effort in this one to go back now. Also, I put masking tape over Xavier's arms earlier, right? Yeah, it ripped off the paint underneath. It's actually not that big a deal because I found an acrylic marker that matches the skin tone. But yeah, I never want to use masking tape again. I also had masking tape over the inside of Xavier's ear, and it didn't rip off any paint, but it straight up didn't work, so that's amazing. On the bright side, I already varnished everything, so it's ready to be put together now. I'm really hungry, guys. I would be like happy, but the fat crack across his face is making me upset, so it kind of cancels out. Okay, Lucky turned out better than I expected though. I thought the crack would ruin everything, but filling it in really helped. I don't think it's that noticeable from far away, which is very, very good. Fun story, I was showing this to my sister in the other room, and then I dropped it. It snapped in half right here, at the base. I glued it back together already, but I'm worried that if I tickle it too much, it might break again. I kinda like it, I'm gonna put it on my desk. Even though I am too tired to scream, I am very excited about finishing FrostNova. The face was pretty scary because it's like really small, and I've only painted a face once before. Bars. The one time I painted a face was for Dazai, and I don't want to say it looks terrible, but it doesn't really look good either. Somehow though, the FrostNova face was kind of easy, question mark? Maybe because I could actually take it apart this time. I was gonna try do it all with acrylic marker at first, but then I quickly realized the nib was way too big. So I kinda just spread the paint around with my paintbrush. Like, I literally use my acrylic markers like a paint tube. I don't think that's what they're intended for, but whatever works, right? I ended up doing most of the details off camera because it's really hard to see unless it's right up in my face. I'm actually really happy with it though. Like, holy shit, I didn't know I could do that. Want another fun story? I dropped my hair while I was carrying it inside. It broke into about 5 different pieces. I almost lost a couple pieces because they were tiny. I already glued them back together, but yeah, fun story. Anyway, let me yap about the Hala X1 while I paint the rest of the details. I have been meaning to say, despite all my complaining, I actually think that Hala X1 is a really good printer. They say it's really beginner friendly, which is true, because I didn't need to mess with leveling, thank god. But I also think it'd be pretty good for people who are already experienced. I think it's kind of like a printer that grows with you. Near the end, when I finally figured out my settings and supports, I printed batches out really smoothly. The twist to release function and auto feed make starting a new print really fast, but also the way it prints at 180 mm per hour. From what I've seen, most printers only print around 60, so that's a pretty crazy difference. By the way, if you do buy the printer, just get the AFU, bro. It's only like £30 more, and you basically say goodbye to all your temperature problems. If you buy pure resin to use with it, then it also has some crazy ass function where it automatically sets the correct settings. I didn't use it this time because I figured out my settings the hard way, but like, considering all the trouble I had with them, it would have been really useful to know earlier. At least I managed to learn a year of 3D printing in 2 months. That's the bright side. Here are all the pieces, by the way. I'm so excited to put them together. I'm going to start by gluing the base together, so while I do that, I'll talk about the cons of Palette X1. So to be honest though, this one is more of a general 3D printing thing. Resin 3D printing is very expensive. Even though I think HAL X1 is one of the best for its price range, it's still £400 with a discount, which is a lot of money if you don't know if you like 3D printing or not. You'll also need to buy some resin, and it's an extra £100 for the wash and cure station, but to be honest, you don't really need that. You'll be fine with just IPA and the sun. Obviously, I recommend doing your research before you buy anyway, but also you should consider what you're actually gonna print. If you want to make anime figures, look if the websites like Cults 3D actually have the stuff you want first, and keep in mind you'll probably have to pay extra for the model files. There's some good free ones, but most cost around £15. As a side note, if it's your first print, please try pre-supported figures instead. Pre-supported figures aren't always perfect, but they're probably better than your supporting if you're a beginner. If your first prints go amazing, then I'm sure you'll be motivated to do more. If you want to make a figure from scratch, like using Blender or something, then you should probably do that first before you buy a 3D printer. I was actually going to do that first, which is why I randomly know how to use Blender now, but yeah, let's just say I had a change of plans. Anyway, my actual problems with HAL X1 are actually pretty minor issues. Like, this is me being picky, but on the website, it says it only prints up to 170 mm per hour, right? But the default speed is 300. Why? Also, HAL Box is an interesting experience. Yeah, just use Cheaty Box. Other than that, I genuinely can't think of any problems. There's things like the AFU not being able to empty the resin bottle. I've seen some people put that as a con in their reviews, but like, bruh, just pour in the last bits of resin, you won't die. Also, because of a twister release build plate, you need a thicker raft or it'll leave a mark. But it's not really a con, it's more like a trade-off. Like, thicker raft for smoother printing. Hell yeah. Anyway, if you would still like to buy the HAL X1 or you're going to beg your parents for a birthday present, please check out the description for a link. Buying from the link will support me, trust. It's an affiliate link, but I like to take pride in being completely honest with reviews or sponsors, which is why you have not seen me do a Raid Shadow Legends video. You have my word that I like the HAL X1. Anyway, we're nearing the end of the video now. Yippee! What a journey, guys. I'm really proud of how the head turned out too. Like, with the head on, it actually looks so good, I'm literally gonna explode. And with that, we are officially done. Here's my Xavier figure. And here's FrostNova! Yippee! It's actually way bigger and heavier than I expected, but I see that as a positive. Here's how it looks next to my bootleg Texas figure. Beautiful. I actually think I went way too hard with the shading, but in like a bad way. Like, these parts are supposed to be white, but they look more grey. Chat, I made this with my own hands! I was kind of worried that the other eye would be covered, so I did it for no reason, but you can kind of see it from some angles. I was kind of busy talking about the review earlier, but the gluing process actually did not go that smoothly. I think my exposure time might be too high still because some parts were too big and didn't fit in. You can see I kind of scratched some of the paint while trying to put it in. I ended up having to cut a lot of pieces too. Like, this knife right here gave me so many issues. I was trying to shove it in, but then the fingers broke off, which was amazing. Luckily, I managed to find the pieces and put them back together, but I think I'm still missing, like, the fingertip. I colored it in though, so I don't think anyone will notice. I will have a great time trying to find a place to put this. Also, she low-key looks like she's about to fall over. I don't know why she's tilted like that. I am genuinely really happy with how it turned out though. FrostNova can stay in my little sister's room for now. Okay, goodbye.